It's time for the World Politics Show, and of course, we're going to have a very rich discussion and all along those lines. But first, I've got some very good news for Sasha Starr and all in that space. Because, we've been doing these polls, and I decided to do something a little bit unusual. I thought that even though it is not legal to do this in the real political sign, that I would put in some foreign folks into a new poll. So I asked folks who they would like to be having run the country, and I gave them the choice of Putin, which of course I didn't think anybody would vote for him, and I don't think that was the case. Vivek Ramaswamy, because I always try to have a celebrity. I try to have somebody representing Pod TV. So our representative for Pod TV was none other than Sasha Starr. And then I had a celebrity, and I think the celebrity in this case was Shakira. And the last time I looked at the poll, and I have not looked recently, Sasha Starr was winning. So folks wanted Sasha Starr to be the president of the United States. So that's why I'm going to bring in Sasha right now and see what he's got to think about this. Because on the latest poll, folks want you to run the country, Sasha. So that's what I said I was going to open with and bring you this news that the latest poll, because we do these polls, just got to engage the public and get the conversation going as we have very lively discussions. And we'll bring in Adam, who did not do good when he went up against Taylor Swift. But you beat Shakira. So what do you think? Are you ready to take over leadership of the free world, and particularly the United States?
Yes, I will definitely take the leadership. Thank you so much. And I will immediately will provide that leadership to my good friend, Adam Perella, since I'm not eligible, to tell the truth, as a Canadian born in Ukraine. I don't think that I'm eligible, but Adam will do a capable job, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure Adam would do a capable job.
By the way, I'm surprised that you haven't said that for the first time in United States of America, the position of the Speaker of the House is vacant.
Yes, that is true. I was going to get to that. The speaker is vacant, so we're going to find out what happens on that, what goes on with the Freedom Caucus, because the Freedom Caucus definitely exercise some of their muscle and all along those lines. And definitely there's other things going on, and we talked about it on the news earlier, and I can't wait to hear what Adam thought
that news has to be attributed and credited, obviously, to old Donny, who is polluting the air even after he lost election and all the indictments and everything. He continues to pollute the air. It's just amazing. And even today, he got the gag order in the courtroom and left without saying a single word. Just ran out of there. I hope he would be arrested right there and then put for a couple of days in jail before he would retain a lawyer. And to retain a lawyer for Donald Trump means to fork $3 million retainer. So slowly here and there, like somebody said, I forgot now the name, somebody said that asked if Trump will ever go to jail. He said, no, Trump will not go to jail, but he will leave this world penniless. Everything, whatever he has, owns or whatever, will be all going into legal fees and everything else, and he will be penniless. Same as he was born penniless, and he will die penniless. Just a fact.
Yeah, interesting thoughts and everything. I did have a question for Adam along those same lines, because I did hear recently that there are some folks maneuvering, because we've been having these lovely things called debates, Adam, and there have been folks maneuvering. So apparently in the news today, speaking of Donald Trump has said that he is concerned about voter integrity, so he would like the Republican committee to forego any of the new debates. So he's saying, don't have the debates. Let's concentrate on beating Mr. Biden. I'm the nominee, so we don't need to have any more debates. And on the flip side of that, Vivek Ramaswamy has said that he would like the top 4 candidates to be at the next debate in Miami, because he's saying that some of these other folks are making too much noise, causing too much of a distraction. They don't have a path to victory or anything in that kind of space. So he would like to actually have it be down to the 4, and the 4 would be, if you look at the polls, it would be Vivek Ramaswamy, Pence, Nikki Haley, and I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, and Ron DeSantis. How can I forget DeSantis and everything? But those would be the 4 that would be on the stage if he had his way and everything. So it does look like there's some maneuvering. He also said, which I think might not be a bad idea, it should be one moderator, and maybe Kim went away on that, because we've had multiple moderators. That sometimes gets in the way as well, because they are shifting back and forth and going back and forth as to who's in charge of the moderation. So he did ask for there to be one sole moderator in the debate. So
I agree with a moderator, but you still need a panel. But only if the moderator's got a shut off button, and when the time is up, do it eloquently. Don't be a jerk. Let them finish a sentence, but when the sentence is finished, you cut it off. That's the appropriate way to do things. I mean, Adam, you've done debates. You know how that works, right?
Sure.
Why don't you ask Trump to be moderator? He would.
Well, he can't debate and moderate. That would just be a joke.
No, just moderate. He doesn't need debate. He's a front runner by far, so he can be just a moderator.
Well, I think.
Why is he bothering running anyway? I mean, why waste the money campaigning? He's got it, right?
Yeah, I think also, I mean, speaking of panels, on behalf of this panel, I'd like to extend my support and sympathies to President Trump for what he's going through. This political persecution that he's enduring is really an insult to the rule of law and to our institutions. And as far as debates go, I think the debates are a joke. I think they're a sideshow. I think they're done more for entertainment than for substance. And I think Donald Trump is running away with the nomination. So I really don't see the point of them. They don't inform the public. They don't allow us to have additional information to make an informed choice on candidates. It's all theater. Trump is going to win the nomination. And I look forward to going to the inauguration in 2024 with Sasha to welcome President Trump for his second term in office.
Adam, a quick question. How much money would you like to bet that Trump is not going to be a president in 2025?
I will bet you $500 that Trump is the president, and I will send it FedEx if I lose straight to Canada. And you know what? I love Canadians too. They're enlightened, they're moderate, they're peaceful. We should be more like them.
Well, it looks like
I was estimating that you will go between 500 and 1,000, but 500 is kind of a cautious approach. And then
so this is a gentleman's bet.
Yes.
So
no, but hold on a second.
I
will follow through.
I would love to see a real presidential campaign where they actually talk about what they're going to do to fix this country. I could not agree more with Adam. It's become nothing but theater, hate, one-upping, angry. I mean, they just feed on nothing but fear and blame. They just point blame. So they subject everyone to fear. And Trump is world's worst at this. Everything I watch is he wants to spread a little bit of fear about what's going on and then point blame. And that is not how you should win a presidency. But with the mindset of America, which Adam says, majority of us just shouldn't be voting. And I agree. With the mindset of America, that's how you will win, is just spread fear and point blame, because they're the kind of people that you can lead them into the Sahara Desert and convince them to drink sand. You
Kim, this is for you and Adam, and it's a question I've been thinking about this for a while, and we've actually come up on the news show, World Edition, as well as this show. It is my opinion, and I am going to stick to this opinion. Adam, if you want to challenge me on it, please do. But it's my opinion that probably about 80 to 90% of the population votes does not do critical thinking when they vote. They actually look at the PACs, if they are in a PAC-oriented area, or they look at public interest groups, be that the Education Union, be that the NRA, be that a number of other ones, and they vote according to what these people tell them that they have vetted them to vote, and all along those lines. So I'm thinking that the vast majority of the population, unfortunately, does not vote their conscience, but they vote what their interest groups have told them to vote. So do you think that I am right? And is 90% maybe even too low a figure? And how do we get away from that if that is the case?
I think you're substantially correct. And it makes it hard to have a democracy when you don't have an informed citizenry. But Kim said one thing that's really important. She wants to see a real presidential campaign. Well, to do that, okay, you're going to have to listen to the candidates' policies and ideas. Donald Trump has been vilified by the media since the day he started running in the 2016 race. The hatred and vitriol towards him is absolutely disgusting. So much that people can't even begin to look at what his policies were. And if you look at his policies and compare them to Biden's, they were better. We had a more secure border, a lower corporate tax rate, a better economy. more jobs, the lowest unemployment rate for African Americans and Hispanics, lower gas prices, no wars. It's clear, but people just can't seem to get beyond
higher
it.
death rate.
A higher death rate. Well, more people died of COVID under Biden than under Trump. And that COVID vaccine that they said was so effective turned out not to be, unfortunately. But I will say this.
But I have a question. With everything what you say,
You can hate somebody and still vote for them.
No, it makes a lot of sense, everything what you just said. With all that, how he could lose a 2020 election? If people understand that the life is great, the unemployment is down, the Hispanics and everybody else is doing so great, how he could lose the election? Now you want to tell me the election was stolen. Why don't you say so? Election was stolen. Let's make America great again. Okay, and with that bullshit, he is going to campaign in 2024. He's going to lose again.
I think that I don't believe that the election was stolen. What I believe is that the Democrats took advantage of the expanded voting options due to COVID. But I think the real reason why he lost is because of his temperament. I think he turned off suburban women and independent voters because, quite frankly, he can sound and look like a real jerk, which really masks the accomplishments that he made. And that's his own fault. And unless he changes that, I may be sending you $500.
We're going to find out because this is actually
it's funny you say that, Adam, because a lot of my all my family, I think majority of them are Trump fans. Majority, not all of them. The intelligent ones, the ones who work in universities and stuff, aren't. But the funny thing is that when they talk about him, they go, "Yeah, we know he has no ethics and needs to use a glue stick for a chapstick, but we still think he makes a good president." The minute you say something like that, my brain turns off because I don't think that makes a good president. I think out of all the millions of people we have in this country that could be qualified, why are we not campaigning them? It's because we are nothing but a stupid two-party system. We don't believe in true democracy. We believe in two parties. And that's the biggest problem we have in this country. We don't believe in policies and fixing the problem. We believe in a party to fix the problem. But I've been listening very closely to Trump's speeches, and I mean dissecting every second of them. And in many cases, you'll hear him start to mumble and rattle and on. And that's when you need to listen to him the most, because a lot of people will kind of tune it out. And then he'll raise his voice to make his emphasis. And if you listen in there, like in one place he was talking about, I gave up making money. I gave up. I told my kids they couldn't negotiate deals in other countries while I'm president because that's not ethical and that's not the right thing to do. And I gave up millions and millions and millions of dollars and all this stuff. And then he started rattling like crazy. And that's when I turned it on. And in there, he said, and that won't happen this time. And then he went back to saying something, and I'm going to be here to make America great. So he busted that way. So listen to him very carefully, Adam, as if you were listening to your opposing side. Listen, because I don't think he's coming in this time for good. I really don't. For his good, but not for yours or mine.
Well, I think that when you look at Donald Trump, you have to realize he is a human being, and all human beings are flawed, okay? And you have a choice when you have a presidential election. Do you vote for someone because you like them or because you despise them, or do you vote for them because their policies are going to have a more beneficial impact on the country? We, in 2020, people didn't vote for Trump because they didn't like him. They didn't like his temperament. And guess what? We got Joe Biden. Higher gas prices, a worse economy, a less secure border. Okay? You shouldn't be voting. It's not a popularity contest. You vote based on not just what you want, but what is good for our communities and our country. And his policies, when compared to Biden, are far better. And yes, it's a choice between two bad alternatives, but he's the best of the worst.
Hey, Adam, also, in his own words, which I'll play back, in his own words, he said he didn't want to come in and clean up behind somebody else because we all know the last, president will leave a big problem. And in many ways, I think that he cakewalked into a great situation from the previous president. I think the previous president made a lot of mistakes, but I also think that he left a huge mess to clean up. And you want to talk about policies, getting rid of a pandemic team and then not hiring them back, that was stupid. That's why I didn't vote for him, because he was so arrogant and stupid. He didn't consider hiring back a pandemic team. And there were other countries out there doing just fine that never had to shut down, but we had to shut down. And previous to COVID, he was making some stupid mistakes, one of which was the way he was withdrawing the way people were going to be getting the low income people were going to get money. And of course, maybe we overpay on that. But by the way he was doing that, it was going to take away millions and millions and millions of dollars from children who need that money for lunch at school. Because if the parents are not on a certain Social Security program, then the children cannot be on the Social Security program, and millions of children were going to miss out on this. So there were a lot of things going on, Adam, that left a ripple effect that somebody had to clean up. It's just like, cleaning up spilled milk, but it wasn't just COVID. COVID was a big cleanup. And I felt bad for any president coming in. And I don't think Biden was the one. I didn't vote for Biden. I didn't vote for Trump either. But I did not vote for either one of them because neither of them have policies worthy for me, worthy for my vote. And I feel like I do a lot of research before I vote.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
on policies,
That's not the norm and everything.
I would like to remind everybody, especially you, Adam, that 25% of national debt was acquired under Trump. So if you lower taxes and you borrow the money, so that increases national debt, obviously, and 25% is attributed to Trump. But Kim, you missed a very, very important word, talking about Biden and Trump and others. There is a word, decency. The president has to be, first of all, be a decent person. He may be a talented person. He could be a super mathematician or accountant or lawyer or just whatever, but he has to be decent. The decent, in any way you look at Trump and what he's done throughout his life, the decency word does not come out, period. There is no such word when you're talking about Trump. To talk about him and say, oh, he's a very decent person? Absolutely not. This word is not attributed to Trump at all. And now you're talking about that, okay, he made a mistake, he was arrogant, but maybe this time it will be different. You're talking about a few months before election, and now he's talking about 4-star general, chief of staff. He's talking about that he should be jailed and actually killed by firing squad. What are you talking about? This man should have been taken to jail right away for opening his lousy mouth by talking about this way about 4-star general. How are you in a row?
He's not just threatening generals, he's threatening the opposing Trumpsters. He says as soon as we take office, we're going to destroy them. And I keep going, who's them?
Okay, so
hold on a second, Adam.
I don't want to be in this country when he takes over because it might be a KKK coming after me. As far as I know.
Hold on a second. We want to hear from Adam as well. So got to give people a chance to give them the other side as well. So Adam, if you want to respond to Kim and Sasha, and Nick is joining as well. I was going to just add that one of the things I've heard, and this may be also going against Trump, but I definitely would love to hear your answers as well, is that we talk a lot about President Biden's lack of mental cognitiveness and everything. But I have had some people on social media that have said that there have been incidences of Trump having some similar kind of gaffes as well, but they aren't covered as much and some of those things. So, I mean, neither of these are spring chickens in that space because they are both one is late 70s and the early 80s. But what is your thoughts about any of this stuff that is?
Well, I think that Kim points out all of the negatives about Trump, doesn't mention a single positive. And I think that's because she hates him and isn't really looking at the whole picture. And I think
like
that when, at the end of the day, I'll make an analogy. You have to make a decision about who to release from prison, Ted Bundy or Charles Manson. And you have to decide. And you know what? In that decision, you know what? My decision is going to be, I'm going to release the person who I think will pose the least threat to public safety. When it comes to choosing between Biden and Trump, I'm going to choose the person who's going to have the best impact policy-wise on this country. And I have a record to compare from the last 8 years. And Trump's is 10 times better than Biden, and that's why Trump will win. Now, as far as decency goes, the only thing I would say to that is, how do you know he's not a decent person? You never met him.
Read books,
please.
Read books. Understand something. Not
by liberal
don't
scholars.
listen to Fox News 24 hours a day. Read books written by knowledgeable
you guys are so
people.
quick to condemn Trump and Mr. Putin. You don't even know who they are. You don't know the charities that Trump has donated to. The fact that he's hired more women than men at his organizations. He's done good things too. People are complicated. Show a little balance.
No, hold on a second, Adam, hold on a second, because I can come back to your analogy, because I'm sure everybody, including Nick, because I saw Nick's reaction, and I had a similar reaction and everything.
Nick is going to vote for Trump because he'll get wealthier.
Which one of those would you be going for in the analogy? Because both of them were horrible people and everything. So I'm assuming that it would be Ted Bundy, because Ted Bundy was a little bit less horrible. But which one are you going for in that analogy?
You asking me?
Yes.
Charles Manson.
I agree.
Huh?
I agree with Adam, Charles Manson, because Charles Manson did not have his fingers bloody. But as much as people bloody Trump, you've got to look to see what's happening to him now, which is outrageous. I mean, Lolita Jackson Johnson, whatever her name is, up in
Letitia James.
Whatever her name is, up in New York, for suing him for $250 million, when not one dime was lost by any creditor, and jumping in and basically getting standing off of a case can only be political harassment, the way anyone sees it. And as much as you condemn Trump, how can you like Biden, who's a racist and a sexist, and even Gavin Newsom, and frankly, most of the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party tells me this: we will not appoint a Supreme Court justice unless you're a black and a woman. Adam, are you black or are you a woman? No. So, of course, why would you want to vote for Biden or Newsom or any Democrat? Now, down below, it may be different because Kim goes, well, I'm a woman, so I have a chance. Okay. But two of us here on the panel, me and Adam, are thrown out because of the Democratic Party. So why would we want to vote for the Democratic Party? So they're gone because they've already said, we don't like white men, period, the end. So who's the other choice? It's Donald Trump. So we got to look at what they're doing to Trump. They're crucifying by creating cases where there shouldn't be cases, and putting up on stage saying, oh, you overvalue your properties. How much money was lost? Nothing.
I'm not going to vote for someone because I feel sorry for
we
them.
think you overvalued your property.
Wait a sec, Nick. Wait a sec. About overvaluating. Okay, I would agree with you. The real estate property, it could be one price if you are selling and another price if you are buying, and something in between. I agree with you on that. But if you say that here is an apartment, 11,000 square feet, in reality, it's 35,000 square feet. This is a fraud right away here. Let's stop right here.
Okay, no. Stop. Okay,
I've pay for it.
I've rented. My office was 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
So if you ask me, was it really 10,000 feet? I don't know. I did not measure.
Is it 45,000 square feet? Maybe.
Okay. Well,
maybe
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I didn't own the building. If this guy owned the building, which I believe he did, sure, he can claim 30,000 square feet as his, because he could have some
based on what he can claim it.
He could have square
rather
foot,
than
which
to
is
defraud
the
insurance company and banks. He is willfully defrauding by increasing 11,000 square feet to 35.
Sasha and Nick, hold on a second.
But what's even worse is the judge doesn't give him time to present his case. Instead, summary judgment for the Democrats. Now,
It has no case.
now the
There's
Democrats have
nothing
already
to
told me.
present. It's all fraud and fraud.
The Democrats have already told me and Adam they don't like me. We're white men. They don't like us. They already said that. They said, I'll appoint somebody who's a black female. And we don't qualify for that. So now, where do they think we're going? You think we're going to jump into the hands of the Democratic Party? No. So the people that are going to elect the President of the United States, Donald Trump, are going to be the Democratic Party by pushing people like me and Adam.
Nick,
out.
very good question. How much would you propose to bet that Donald Trump is not going to be elected as a president?
Not going to be elected as a president?
How much?
We have a gambling show going on here,
This
folks.
will be the third bet because we've already got one going on with Shaquille and somebody else on the other show. But yeah, we got Adam and Sasha is throwing down the gauntlet to Nick.
Sasha, Nick,
As we sit today, Sasha, whether you like it or not, Donald Trump is odds-on favorite to win.
gentlemen,
He didn't ask that. He asked whether you were willing to put the money where your mouth is and take the bet.
How much would you propose to bet on the outcome?
If I was a gambling man and we were gambling, I'd be all in on Donald Trump right now.
All in.
Yep.
Well, give me like normal figures, say
it
500.
doesn't mean Nick would vote for him. He's just saying Trump is in because the white man.
No, I'm saying it because of this.
Trump.
I'm saying it because our polls that we did on LinkedIn prior to the Washington Post poll showed Donald Trump crushing Joe Biden.
Okay, in that case,
And then people complain, well, your poll isn't scientific, and I tell them it isn't. It's a LinkedIn poll.
Nick,
Okay.
it's good.
Then the Washington Post put a poll out, and they show the same thing.
I wonder-
But they also said that was an
As we see
outlier.
today,
They said that was an outlier.
In this
You know,
case, when you're so
All in,
sure,
baby. You know?
no, Nick, we are so sure
You
now. I
better
will
have
ask
a deep pockets.
Now I will put $500, and I will ask you to put $1,000. The Trump will
You want me to give two to what?
absolutely.
I said if I'm a gambler.
Oh, you have polls. You see, Adam,
Nick is saying he doesn't gamble, so
Provide
that
any
doesn't go
polls.
happen with Nick. I already
Not
know
even
that
Trump will
and
be
everything.
Yeah.
But
No,
Kim, you brought up something earlier that you were trying to
You're
bring
saying
up.
that not only that he will be
Yeah.
a president, that you
Okay.
have one poll, you have another poll, so
Yeah.
that makes you a king on the hill.
This is
So,
typical.
Yeah, hold on a
typical
second. Kim has
Democrats.
something that she
You
wants
don't
to
listen.
show
God
us
gives you
and
5
everything,
ears,
so
you listen
hold on.
twice as much as you talk. Okay, there is.
This is the type of people that Trump has associated with himself, and there's more than just this picture. But when you associate yourself with this is just
Democratic
crime.
garbage. Okay,
Crime.
you can throw up
Crime.
a picture with him and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Throw up a picture with him and Hillary and Bill Clinton.
But let me
And-
ask you
and
this,
then you can
you
say
know,
the same
Adam, you
thing.
keep
This
bringing
is
up
the
all the
garbage they associate with.
Hold on a second.
all of the
Hold on a second, Nick.
lawsuits
Hold on.
against,
It's all,
you keep
it's
putting up
all
the
media
lawsuits against
slanting. You're
Trump.
doing it on Bob TV. Come on.
Hold
But
on.
what about all the bull crap that they did against Hillary and she never even made president? I still think she won. I
Politics,
believe
politics
she
is a
won.
sewer. Politics is a sewer.
You want to talk about cheating a woman out of the vote? That was it.
No, hold on a
She
second.
wanted,
Hold on a
she
second. This
should
has
have
been.
thrown
Hold
a
on.
fit and she should have tore down the White House just like Trump did.
No,
But
that's
she
the.
didn't.
Yeah, she
Well,
didn't do
it's
that.
funny.
But hold on a
That's the
second.
problem
Hold on a
with
second.
Democrats. They don't
Everybody,
listen
because
exactly
Sasha
what
asked
he
me to
said.
show a clip, which I did download, by the way. So I know that y'all got into this whole argument about Ukraine and everything. So I did find a way to get it. You will see Sasha's
Has
face on
Zelensky been
the
impeached
clip
yet?
as well. So let's check out this clip and then let's hear the response because I know Sasha said he wanted to bring this up on this show as well. So if you hold on a second, I did find the 4-minute clip. So let's check out this clip.
Just also an aside in case, because these are people that you might know. Bill Trezevan, who's been on our show, passed away
Oh, so it is that.
in August, in case you guys didn't know.
did
I just
not-
got
I'm
the
sorry
notice
to hear
from-
that. When did he pass away?
August 23rd, believe it or not. I just got the notice from his.
That's so sad.
He was
That's
in. He was on Lawyer's Den for
He
years.
was on Lawyer's Den for a number of years.
They
He was
still-
on the
you may still see him on
presidential show. He did a number of other things as well.
and other things. You may still see him on reruns. And his niece just contacted me and said like to see some of the tapes so they could listen to Bill
Okay.
talk because
No
he lives
problem.
We
forever
can send him if
on
we
our
have it.
lawyers.
Send what we have.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
definitely do that.
Okay,
But
I
this
just
is the
want-
video that Sasha wanted us to see and everything about what's going on with the Ukraine. So check this out.
Yeah. You know, so you got an extra problem to deal with. Okay,
One.
one more problem.
Yeah, we are ready to watch the video. So
Oh, good.
Let's see it.
Let's do it.
Is hitting a new level.
This is the first international forum of defense industries. 252 defense companies producing a full range of military and defense systems are represented here.
Its purpose is to unite Ukrainian and foreign manufacturers for long-term strengthening of Ukraine's defense capability and the defense potential of its partners based on NATO technologies. There was a new Alliance of Defense Industries created, and 38 companies from 19 countries signed on it right at the forum.
We are interested in cooperation between specialized enterprises of our countries.
Ukraine's first Defense Industries Forum has struck a nerve in global security policy. The military might of the free world is being forged in Ukraine.
Right now, Ukraine fights in the biggest and the most technological war since World War II. It shields entire Europe and designates future security architecture of the whole world.
Today, we stroke 20 deals of various scales. The crucial thing is that the forum let Ukrainian companies get to know their foreign partners in order to create common projects and help the foreign companies understand that Ukraine has worthy industries capable of producing the weaponry.
Tons of weapons have already been supplied to help Ukraine fight back, but the final aim is to make it self-sufficient in defense.
Our vision is to develop military products and services of the world class and export them after the war.
So, creation, development, and production of modern weapons in the country is the key point. Ukraine has got a unique combat experience, military expertise, and technologies. Many startups in its tech sector have already switched to pursue military projects, especially in drone production. Robotech is keeping up. This Scorpio 3 robot was also designed by the Ukrainian manufacturer, can be both a fire and reconnaissance tool. Moreover, in the long-term perspective, Ukraine can manufacture weapons not only for itself, but also for other partners. Ukraine has already launched a number of important co-production projects. For instance, Stockholm and Kyiv inked a deal for joint production of Combat Vehicles 90 in Ukrainian factories. Warsaw also agreed on production of 125mm ammos by Kyiv. Turkish Baykar has already launched building a Ukraine-based plant to make Bayraktar drones. And one of Ukraine's most important backers in the fight, German Rheinmetall, is about to build a tank and APC production and repair in Ukraine in the coming months. And more is yet to come. To ramp it all up and push it to a new level, Ukraine needs the developments of its partners. Altogether, it can be a powerful tool, combined with the experience of Ukraine's armed forces who have already learned to use many NATO weapons. So the Alliance of Defense Industries will help fulfill 3 major objectives: uninterrupted supply of ammunition and hardware, integration of Ukraine's military-industrial complex into the Euro-Atlantic one, and the setup of modern military inventions for Ukraine. All of it is vital to not just win over the Russian terror, but to preserve peace and prevent any aggression afterwards.
Nations have a right for protection. Let's build the arsenal for the free world together.
Tell me, please, anybody here thinks that this filthy Russian gas station can take over a country like Ukraine? Are you crazy out of your mind? The stupid Putin, he'll die well before he will see how Ukraine will take over.
So impolite.
I don't care. Ukraine will take control of all post-Soviet space, including Kazakhstan and Georgia and Uzbekistan and all the stunts. Russia will be no more there. Russia was already kicked out of Armenia and Azerbaijan conflict. There, Russians are out. Now they're struggling in Ukraine. They will be beaten in Ukraine very badly. Because if you remember history of the Second World War, what was on the forefront of Soviet attack against Germans? It was first Ukrainian front, second Ukrainian front, and third Ukrainian front, and fourth Ukrainian front. There were mostly Ukrainian, because Ukraine was basically occupied by Germans, almost all of it. And then Ukrainians were taken over from Germans. Now Russia is not even half of Germany, not even 1/10 of Germany. They will be crushed. Remember my words.
Well, this hostility towards Mr. Putin, you owe him an apology, Sasha, and you should do it on this show. All right, but
Tell me more about it.
Before I get to that, I just want to say about that picture with Jeffrey Epstein. In the United States, we don't hold people guilty by association.
Adam, I have one question to you. As you know, half of the Americans don't
There was more than one photo. They had
they
a
don't have
romance going on.
$400 in case they really need it. You will need very soon $500. Are you okay with that?
I am going to pay you. I'll pay you $500 on November 5th if Trump loses. But sadly, I think Nick is right that Trump's going to win. Now, as far as Ukraine goes, you know, when I think about corruption, I think about Ukraine.
No, think about United States of America.
That's Zelensky.
This is the most corrupt country.
And funny, the anti-corruption prosecutor in Ukraine was just demoted. It is the most corrupt country in the world. And if Ukraine...
And therefore Russia invaded it. So Russia invaded Ukraine to fix corruption there.
Great Mr. Putin invaded to protect his national security interests because the West, and NATO continue to encroach on their borders. And
please, who needs Russian borders? Russia is a filthy gas station. That's all what there is. Nobody needs Russian borders, period.
So impolite.
Even you are. Nobody needs Russian borders. Remember, my friend, don't repeat stupid things.
Blame NATO and blame
I'm trying to teach you something here, and you repeat garbage over and over that you heard on Fox News or somewhere else. Please,
honest scholars are saying it's the NATO expansion that has caused this. And if we
NATO has all rights to expand. Who is Russia? What is Russia there? Russia has to watch their own borders. Period. It's not a superpower like what Soviet Union is no longer there. Soviet Union is dead. Russia will be dead in next 2 years or so.
Why are you so?
It will go apart. Forget about Russia. Period.
Why are you
or maybe you're scared about thermonuclear bombs?
I'm scared about a corrupt
Ukraine.
Yes.
Are you really scared, Adam? Tell me. Are you scared? How old are you? 40 something?
47.
40 something. Okay.
Yes.
So you still have another 40 years or maybe
17 years away from 30.
Or even 50. Okay. So you have another 50 years to run. Okay.
But a good-looking 47. Let me tell you, I'm like a fine wine. I get better as I age.
Great. It's great. So you will be every year you will be better and better and better and better. But you know what? At the end of the day, you'll die anyway. Okay. So in case of nuclear war, you'll just die, but you'll die a little bit sooner than you thought you'd die. But that's not. It's not something that you should be even discussing. It's either happened or it's not happening. That's all, and nothing to do with Russia or this or that. It's nothing. It's an event which most likely will happen, and I'll tell you why. There are just too much proliferation of nuclear weapons. Just too much. Not just United States and Russia. It's.
You think Iran's going to get one?
Huh?
You think Iran's going to get one?
Iran?
Weapons? Yeah, they might get one. Hey, just really quickly.
I hope not. But right now, Russia is supplying Iran with all the.
All I'm saying is that if you had 10 Cubas surrounding the East Coast, we'd go to war too. In fact, we tried to in the Bay of Pigs. The expansion of NATO is what has caused this, and the West's support of that.
It's not correct. It's not correct, because on Cuba, Russia was trying to install the nuclear warheads. Now, have you heard about anybody trying to install the nuclear warheads in the NATO countries or Ukraine?
My point was that we viewed Cuba as an immense and imminent threat. And if there were 10 Cubas surrounding us, just like there's Eastern European countries, all affiliated with NATO, NATO is to blame for this. You could even look it up online. It's right there for you, as is the corruption in Ukraine.
I think corruption. Everywhere is corruption. Come on, Adam. And by the way, Americans now taking a good charge of how the money that it's supplying Ukraine are distributing and spent on us. They already sent several inspectors. They published at least 5 pages or so of what has to be done in 3 months, and 6 months, and 9 months. So United States are taking, United States are very, very good at counting the money, trust me. And they will make sure that Ukraine will do so many reforms. So, because we are not talking about the war only, we are talking about rebuilding of Ukraine. So all the seeds have to be planted now, so the process will go all the way. Because in that part of the world, Ukraine is fighting for the freedom of all.
No, you've just admitted. You admitted 5 minutes ago you want to see Russia being taken down, and that's exactly why they went to war. I'm pro-Russia, I'm pro-Putin, and I'm anti-NATO, and I think the West should be blamed for this too.
Everything what you just say, and 75 cents will buy you a cup of coffee. It's nonsense that you've learned from Fox News or some other sources, I don't know which ones, or a profile.
I wish I had the technology to put up the article from a wonderful Indian scholar, a scholar from India, who actually makes these very points that NATO and the West is to blame, and that the security threats to Russia justified this war, and Ukraine is the most corrupt country among the most corrupt countries in the world.
Adam, can I ask a question? Are reading the wrong sources. Lunacy has nothing to do with reality. Period.
I want to ask a question.
I apologize to Mr. Putin on behalf of this.
If you were in a murder trial, who actually pulled the gun and trigger and killed people? Was it NATO or was it Putin? If you were in heaven, allowing people to enter into the gates of heaven, who pulled the trigger? Putin or NATO? NATO is not to blame.
Charles Manson
NATO did not pull the trigger. Just because they were smart and got a good position on where they wanted to be, they did not do the inhumane thing of killing millions of innocent people.
Well, Charles Manson didn't kill Sharon Tate, but he set the forces in motion that led to Susan Atkins and Tex Watson stabbing her dozens of times while she was begging for her baby's life. And I say that he's just as culpable, and I think the analogy is the same here. NATO is the equivalent of Charles Manson.
Oh my God!
And you owe an apology to Mr. Putin. In fact, I'm going to apologize to him because I'm a by association. Now I'm going to get in trouble.
Please, every 25 minutes, say apology.
I am appalled.
Send him faxes, messages, emails, whatever you can do.
Intelligence.
Sasha, I don't watch Fox. I swear I don't.
Oh, you're listening to some Indian gurus?
I am not a Republican.
No, you're not Republican. Who are you then?
I'm an independent. I'm an independent thinker.
He's just Adam. He's just Adam. You gotta love him.
You know what? Then your hero might be, since you're talking to Indian sources, nobody else but Vivek, what's his name, Kamasutra or something. So, listen
Mikhail Gorbachev. I mean, when he came to New York City, he shook the hands of the American people. That was in high school.
Vivek Ramaswamy. Listen to him. This guy, he is a brilliant. He's a scientist.
He's a loudmouth.
Businessman, right?
No, he's a loudmouth.
He is?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You underestimate him.
He's
a guy who bought for a song licenses to 4 drugs from UK, which failed all medical trials, all 4 of them. Anyway, he put a little company. The company got valuation at some point $3 billion. And then they had 5th medical trial, which also failed, obviously, and all these investors lost money. This is a brilliant, and by the way, he's not even a scientist. He has undergraduate in biology or something. He's nothing. He's another crook The same like your Donald Trump.
Sasha, wait a minute. If you have an undergraduate in biology, that does make you a scientist, because that would be a biologist that you are and everything. So I think that technically he may.
Undergraduate, any idiot in 2 years can get undergraduate in biology.
So it takes 4 years to get an undergraduate
ask
degree.
you guys about the Speaker of the House and the removal just because he threatened.
No, and I had that was.
I mean, I thought he was being,
I thought and I was going to actually add to that, Kim, because I'm curious.
What is your opinion?
That Republican Party cannot be allowed to govern this country. They're just not cut to govern. They are a bunch of idiots.
Stabbing. No, we're not go that
they
far.
should be allowed to vote, should they?
I'm going to go that far. Kim, to answer your question, I think, and I've said this on a couple of our other shows as well, I had problems when he was going in because I saw the kind of power that the Freedom Caucus was weighing and all along those lines. So I was actually expecting this to happen even during this time, because I thought it might have happened earlier, because there is a famous Malcolm X quote, the chickens come home to roost, or something along those lines. I may be misquoting it. And I think that that's what happened in this case. I was expecting that he was going to get that knife in his back, if I can borrow from my pop culture kind of knowledge and everything. So I was expecting the backstabbers to come, to borrow the OJ song and everything. So I was fully expecting that, just like I am surprised, and I'm not saying that he is right either, but there are a lot of things, and this is one I was going to ask Adam about, and we talked about it on the news earlier today, but I'm still trying to figure out, because I do know about fire alarms, and if he pulled one type of fire alarm, that's one thing, but if he pushed the door, then yes, you can set off alarms. So I'm not sure what the gentleman from New York was doing on that whole fire alarm situation. So Adam, what are your thoughts on both of these issues, both McCarthy getting ousted by the Freedom Caucus, and should the gentleman from New York get jail time if he intentionally pulled the fire alarm?
The question is how much jail time? What? Because normally you should get 30 years, but maybe he could go for less.
Well, that sounds like that would happen in Russia. So essentially, what I would say is, I'm really sick and tired of the Freedom Caucus and the right-wing Republicans. I really am. I'm sick and tired of Matt Gaetz. I'm sick and tired of their hardline stances, their policy positions that have no hope of ever becoming law, their refusal to compromise. I'm so unimpressed with them. I thought McCarthy was reasonable, and I would not have voted to oust him. I think what we need in this country is moderate, reasonable people who are willing to compromise and come together and realize, look, you're not always right on every issue. Have a little humility. See things from other people's perspectives. Bring in a diverse group of people to come to really informed, reasonable solutions. And we don't have that in our Congress, and it's really sad.
No, couple of things. Hold on a second. A couple of things that you just said that I want to get to, Sasha.
I would like to mention something, just a second. Mm-hmm. For so many years, the Democrats had control of the House and Pelosi was Speaker. I mind you, a lot of Democrats didn't like Pelosi and didn't care about Pelosi much. Yet, nobody ever would try to oust her from speakership. That's impossible even to comprehend that something like that could happen. But not as Republicans. Republicans just jump.
Because they're right-wing morons. I hate to say it.
They're morons.
I have to agree with Adam. They are right-wing morons. But here's the other thing that the Freedom Caucus...
Right-wing nuts.
Well, yeah, and Matt Gaetz needs to be pulled to the carpet, because he said this. He goes, McCarthy does not represent the Republican Party when he's in Congress properly. And he's right, because when you're elected to Congress, you are not to represent your party. You're supposed to represent the American people. McCarthy is correct to represent the American people. Gaetz does not believe that. He believes you don't represent the American people when you get elected. You represent your party. It's Gaetz that needs to be thrown out of Congress. The sooner the better. Because the minute you get elected, you go to Washington, Adam, you no longer represent your party. You represent all the American people.
Hold on a second.
Very well said.
So hold on a second. Do you represent all of the American people? That's right. Because I was going to ask even Adam, because I know that a lot of people would say that you represent your constituents, and your constituents come from a certain area. Like, does AOC represent all of America, or does she represent that part of New York that she is from? So that's my question, and I'm
You
asking you.
represent all of America. Granted, those are your constituents in that particular place. But once you go to the hallowed halls of Congress, you represent all of America. You do not represent your party anymore. Gates should be admonished by Congress and the President of the United States for even suggesting that McCarthy should represent his party when in reality he needs to represent the American public.
I agree.
The media needs to call
so
Gates
profound.
to the carpet,
That is so
including
profound.
call this man to the carpet, because the thing is, he's putting the proposition incorrectly in front of the American public. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I'm not sure.
No, Adam, just quick, I have another quick question for you on that as well, because sometimes people will hold up things, and this comes back to Sasha, because they will hold up things, because I know that there was a lot of people that were concerned around the Ukraine vote, and that's even part of what happened with this last budget. And now I'm understanding that there is a gentleman, I don't know the gentleman personally, but Senator Bob Cardin is holding up a vote because of some military aid that might be going to Egypt and everything. So is that part of the role of the congressman and their different committees as well? Because apparently he's not a big fan of us sending military aid to Egypt, so he's going to hold it up. And that was a last-minute decision that he made on the day of the September 30th deadline. So the deadline was recent. So how much of this political football is going on as well?
In my opinion, America has to define what is its foreign policy, what they're trying to achieve, what are the goals. Obviously, America has means to achieve quite a lot, but it has to put its mind to go ahead and achieve it, or not to going ahead and do something else. So this is a very important question, because if it decided to be a superpower and to, how should I say, to put in its right place aspirations of all these minions like Russia, China, India, Brazil, South African republics, create their currency, fight US dollar, and so on. All that garbage has to be denounced and put away in a garbage can, okay? And as quickly as possible, because it's very fundamental for the United States to have its currency as a currency of the last resort, and nothing should be there competing with US dollar, period. Forget about this multicultural and multi-polar world where everybody is now a big boss. Okay, there's a China, oh, there's Russia, there's Brazil, there's this and that. Just forget about all that. America, that's the only country that can rule the world, make it a safe place, make it a prosperous place. Of course, not with the idiots like Trump.
Hey, just really quickly, Adam, just really quickly, and this is as we're winding down, and Nick kind of alluded to it, and he definitely talked about it on World Edition and everything. How, because I'm a big fan, as anybody can tell, of representation mattering, and I did not mind there being a Black woman lesbian who was appointed. She actually got the appointment and was sworn in, I think it was today, by Kamala Harris. But how important in your mind, because you even alluded to it earlier, to have various voices, whether that is rural voices, urban voices, and different other ethnicities in our ruling parties and all along those lines?
I think it's critical to have different voices, but I don't consider someone having a different voice because they're Black, because they're Hispanic, because they're transgender, because they're Asian, because they're gay. I don't judge people based on those factors. I judge people as individuals and based on what they do. So diverse voices are important, but I don't like the idea that we're categorizing things according to race. And the last thing I'll say is, look, we are not going to be a superpower in the next 50 years because stupidity is what's going to destroy this country. And we're going to destroy ourselves from the inside out with the divisions we have now. And it's sad, but it's a reflection of a citizenry that's not informed and of a democracy that ultimately will crumble. And that has nothing to do with Donald Trump.
I hear what you're saying, but Kim, what
Just
are your
started
thoughts?
and rippled.
Yeah, what is your thought? Because I'm thinking that there have been folks that were thinking that we didn't have enough women leadership, and there is definitely that conversation that has gone on. But do you think that we need to have a diversity of voices and maybe even some more women in office? Because I do know that that's part of what Emily's List, which is what that lady that got appointed came from. She came from Emily's List as an organization. But what is your thoughts about this need for different voices, including women and minority voices? Kim?
I think we need more women, powerful women voices. I think that we lack that in leadership. I just think we need good leadership. I don't think it's a man or a woman. I don't believe that it's race. I think it's just that a woman has a different perspective than most men in the way that we handle things. And so I think in order to get a balance, there needs to be a balance of female and male voices. But then again, there's a gender, non-gender specific that we're overlooking as well. So I think we just need to reevaluate and look at the people we put in office.
Yeah, I can see that in everything.
It's the right person.
Yeah, and like I said, there's been some interesting cases. I want to say that recently there have been, I want to say maybe even in Congress, there have been some openly transgender people, as well as some people from some different kind of gender, non-gender kind of parts of the background that have been appointed or have gotten jobs, and that is part of the conversation. Some people are offended by that because they are thinking that it is going against their morals, but I don't think that morals can be legislated. That's just my feelings on it and everything, but others may disagree with me on that. But I don't think that that's something that the morality police need to be spending too much time on, including some of those from certain churches, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that that's the way it is, and it's a wrap today. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to
Oh no, Jose, it's not a wrap totally, because I have to announce something, because we do these polls all the time. So Kim, you're going to be in the next poll. So the next poll, I have not had a woman yet. So Kim, you will be the representative of the Pod TV vote.
I'm already a president.
No, that's okay. You're still in this poll. So Kim gets to be in the Pod TV poll as the Pod TV representative and all of those. Nick will be in there next week. I got to get Nick as well. So Kim will be going up against, I don't know who. I'll find 3 other women, and there'll be one that'll be a celebrity. I don't know. Maybe I'll have you go up against Janet Jackson. So I think it'll be Kim, Janet Jackson, and 2 others.
That's real fair. That is so fair. But thank you very much.
Well, I put Adam up against Taylor Swift. That's
Yeah. I have to admit that was the most unbalanced one. But anyway, everyone, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to more questions from you as we move along with this new wonderful talk show about the politics coming up and the wagers that are coming up.
And last but not least, as we get ready to get out of here, our condolences do once again go out to the Trezevant family as well, because definitely that was shocking news on this side to learn that. And he was a very integral part, as far as I'm concerned, in some of the early days of Pod TV. Like I said, Kim and Nick were definitely more involved in the beginning than I was, but I do remember having great conversations with him and found him to be a very knowledgeable and a very wonderful gentleman. So our condolences do go out to the family. Just wanted to share that at the end as well.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah.